Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Living with S. I am your host, Sharon Mundia, and today we are at the gorgeous Park Inn by Radisson. Sun is out. It's not as cold as it was a couple weeks ago. At least it goes in and out, which is good. And to start the year off on the right note, we're talking about money, because this is the year we're trying to make extra money. We're trying to stretch our money. We're trying to make sure it grows and works for us. And our guest today will guide us through that. It's a topic that I've heard a lot about, but I'll be honest, I don't know much about. His name is Kevin Ng'ang'a, and he is the CEO of Scope Markets Kenya. And today we're talking about online Forex trading.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Sharon.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure. Thank you for coming. I'm not kidding. This is the year we're trying to make sure how do we get as much
we must plug everything that we
because,
can. Yeah,
I mean, for a lot of people, and even from the guests that I interviewed, one of the main things I heard back was, 2019 was such a tough year.
It was very tough financially, economically, and everybody's looking for what we need to do in 2020 to change that as well. Yeah,
which is why we're starting off.
Thank you
some money.
Yes,
making
it's all about
tips.
the money.
Yeah. So, but before we even get into the money, I want to hear a little bit about you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Were you always fascinated about trying to stretch your money? Were you a kid that, saved?
Yes.
Tried to hustle and make extra money on the side?
Yes, actually, that's interesting. I was just thinking about that just before we started, and I was remembering how every day when we used to go home from school, so my dad used to have the newspaper on the side of the car. So when you get in, you start flipping the newspapers, and I was always fascinated by the column that used to publish the shares. Oh. So I used to ask him, what's all this? So he used to be, as a side hustle, he used to be a stockbroker. So he used to work for government, but he was an agent as well. So he used to tell me about these shares. So he used to tell me what a share is, and I was about 14 years old. And when I went through my initiation ceremony, one of the gifts I got was share account with the CDSE. So my first share was National Bank.
Okay, and you're 14.
And I was 14.
Okay.
So I got shares in National Bank, which I still have today. I promised myself I'd never sell them, and I used to check every day. So I'm also very addicted to sports. So I used to check the sports pages, then I used to check the share pages, and I used to always try and remember, this share has gone up 2 shillings. What does that mean? Have I made money? So slowly, I got a lot of interest in shares and in trading, and that has been my life. So as a background, I'm 17-year career in banking, specifically in treasury, which means I have been doing Forex all my life. So I've seen the ups, I've seen the downs, I've seen the goods, I've seen the bads, I've seen the horrid. We've seen September 11th. We've seen, there was actually a crash. There's also a Forex crash in Kenya in 2003, 2004. And we've seen, it's been a very exciting ride. And that's why I'm passionate about online Forex trading. I believe that there's a fantastic opportunity for the Kenyan investing public to start looking at other opportunities. I grew up with shares. Shares was the only thing apart from your traditional asset classes like putting money in a chama, or putting money with your sacco, or buying a piece of land and hoping that the price appreciates. So for me, that's been my journey. I'm passionate about educating the youth. We're going to do a lot of work countrywide to educate the youth about what are the financial markets, how do they work, how can you make income, how can you become successful. I want to have success stories where we'll have mentorship series where we get a lot of the youth to understand that there's a difference between gambling and investing, and there's a world out there that you can invest in. You can trade in things like oil, you can trade in things like gold, you can trade in shares, you can trade in indices, you can trade in Forex. And it's important for you to develop your craft. So that's who I am, that's what I want to do, and that's my mark in life.
I have to say, bless your father for seeing
I always tell him that story, yes,
and,
yes.
And doing whatever he could to cultivate that.
Exactly. So we have all these conversations about, The major shares that he used to trade a lot was East African Breweries. What is now today Centum used to be called ICDC. Standard Chartered. KCB was a poor share then.
Started to form,
Yes,
like,
yes, yes.
To sort of see the shifts, because this, I presume, has a lot to do with also forecasting.
Correct.
And taking into consideration what happened in
And
the
what
previous
happened.
years.
Yes.
So you at 14, you were
Actually,
already,
yes.
a sponge
So
taking
funny
this
enough,
in.
my first salary, I bought Barclay shares. I started working when I was 20, let's say 19.
Do you mind sharing what your salary was at that time?
5,000 shillings.
5,000 shillings.
So 5,000 shillings. So I bought shares worth, I think it was 200. I think it was one unit. I think I bought the minimum amount of Barclays, which was, I think, trading at maybe 30 shillings or something like that.
Okay.
So I think I bought maybe 3,000. I wasn't able to go to work because I used to have to commute all the way to Wilson Airport. That was my first job. I used to work at the Wilson Airport, and I remember I bought those shares, and I was like, what the heck? Let me see what happens.
Yeah. So with your 5,000 shilling salary, you buy shares.
So I bought 3,000.
shillings.
Yes. So
Wow.
I ended up having to ask for. So I hustled. I did a bit of hustle to get through to the end of the month because if I recall vividly, transport, I think for the month was something slightly over 1,000 shillings, maybe 1.5. So I used to make sure I have a very heavy breakfast.
Yeah.
So you take advantage of that and then have a very light lunch. So you spend maybe 50 to 80 shillings on lunch and then try and see how far you can get to the weekend, to the end of the month. I never ever succeeded in that. So, so I used to try and do some small side hustles. I've done many things. I've sold my dad's gas cylinder, which he didn't take too well.
To try and get extra.
To try and get some
that
extra
we
cash.
Do not recommend.
No,
that we don't recommend.
I don't recommend. I've sold old rims.
So you did everything.
Tried to do everything to just.
Tell me about the 3,000 shilling worth of shares.
Yeah.
Did you start to reap, or when did you start to feel like, oh, that was
so
good, or was it
the share actually started picking up in 2002. I bought that share in 99. That was maybe I would say early 99, because it was around early mid 99. The share didn't really make much headway until we got a new dispensation in government, and there was a lot of good feeling. So that's when the stock market started kicking up.
So within that was a 3-year period.
That's 3 years period. Yeah.
Had you bought any shares in between?
I think I bought a couple of EABL shares.
Okay.
But nothing
picked up.
Nothing picked up. It was just that stock recommendation, buy this, buy that. Then I did a Bachelor of Commerce degree at the University of Nairobi.
Okay.
And what piqued my interest is in one of the units, there was company valuations and that. So I actually used to do a bit of company valuations, try to look at company financials. One of the biggest challenges was in the early 2000s, getting company details nobody published their results on the internet. So you had to go to your stockbroker, and they used to have these big fat books which they would publish and give you and post it to you on the mail.
Right, and the reason you need to know that is because that influences which
share to buy.
Right.
Because obviously the brokers always recommend,
Yeah.
but I always wanted to understand what is this that I'm learning in campus and that. So 1-2 times when you've got that, it was a real interest. So I looked at it. Then of course I also did a lot of speculation. So you just buy the share because it's up 5%, so you go with the flow. The good thing is in 2002, 2003, there's only one way up. All shares were just going up. So in 2003, I bought Kenya Airways. I think Kenya Airways was 2003, when they did the IPO. So that's where I made my first million.
Okay. I'm going to need you to break that down. I'm sure everyone was like, excuse me, sir? Excuse me, because we started with 5,000 shillings, 3,000 shillings.
Yeah. There's no reason to sell then.
So explain to me, how exactly did you get to that 1 million? And I mean, like, take a step.
Okay, so it's a combination of things. Number one, something like Kenya Airways was way undervalued at the IPO price. I think it retailed at 6 shillings.
Okay.
It was a fantastic entry point.
This is 2003?
This is 2000. I think I would stand to be corrected, but I think it was 2003 if I'm not wrong.
A share was 6 shillings.
6 shillings Kenya Airways. Okay. Yeah. By that time I had accumulated a bit of savings, so I redirected quite a bit of the profits I'd made from the Barclays. So I'd made profits on Barclays, I'd made profits on EABL, and I'd made profits.
Can you say like how much?
So about maybe 200,000 shillings.
200,000 and 200,000.
Yeah. Okay. So about 400,000 shillings, and actually let me say less, because I remember the Kenya Airways cost to me was slightly under 100,000 shillings, including brokerage costs. I think it was maybe 98,000 shillings, and I just bought the shares. At that time, we didn't have what you call demutualization, so you got a physical share certificate. So more times than not, I was very poor at filing, so you'd be surprised that it was my mother who was more on the share side than my dad. So we used to do a lot of core buying with my mom. So I tell her, my broker says this, she tells me her broker is saying this, and then we buy, and I used to get the broker to, so the share certificate used to be posted to your PO box address. So I was still young, I didn't have my own PO box address, so they'd all come in and they would keep the share. So when you want to sell, you go and submit it. So what we used to do is just leave the shares with the share certificate with the broker. So anytime you needed to buy and sell, it was that. And we got into Mumias also. There was a slew of IPOs. I think that was 2005, if I'm not wrong. So a lot of the profits that I made from Barclays shares, EABL shares, I converted that into what I'd call low value unit shares. So I took positions in things like Mumias, it was 3 shillings and 50 cents. I took IPO of Kenya Airways, I think that was 6 shillings. And I just continuously kept buying.
So how much would you buy a month?
So about maybe 10,000 shillings worth every month.
And how long did you keep buying?
At least a year.
Okay.
So it was easy, because I just used to send my broker the money, and then he would constantly buy, and slowly but surely the pot grew. I had the fortunate circumstance that I used to work in a bank, so we used to get loans at very subsidized rates. So what I would call cost of capital for me was very low, so it was very easy for me to turn the shares into a profit, and that's what I call edge, and that's something that most investors need to look for. Where is your competitive advantage in executing investments, whether it is purchasing land, whether it is having a side hustle, whether it is selling shares or buying and selling shares, whether it is trading online forex. Always try and find what your edge is and take advantage of that. That usually differentiates you from a return perspective from anybody else.
You explained that,
where I started from.
Where you started, and that it was about
my interests
15 years ago.
Actually it's plus, because I got my first share in 1994.
Oh yeah, no, I meant like 15 years ago when you made your first million.
Oh, okay.
Right,
yes.
About 15 years ago.
Yes.
And you were about to
give or take.
Through online forex trading.
Yeah.
And you were about to give us the details,
yes,
step-by-step breakdown of how KQ earned you.
So I had made some capital gains on That was at that time. I remember I made handsome gains on Barclays and EABL. Then I flipped that into what I called single value shares, in the sense that they were below 10 shillings. So that allowed me to buy more shares on the profits. And I remember I also had Kenya Power as well. Kenya Power, Barclays and EABL. Once I translated that, we had the Kenya Airways IPO, and I put in quite a bit of the proceeds that I did into that IPO.
How much?
I think that was about 98,000. So okay, I'd grown my portfolio from about 40,000 to about just off 100,000 shillings.
Wow.
So it was about a 5 times growth.
Yeah.
Then we had the IPO, and I went all in Kenya Airways, and I have to say it took time, but Kenya Airways moved from 6 shillings all the way to 110.
Wow.
So that's been...
How much time did that take?
I think that was maybe about 7-8 years.
7-8 years.
Yeah.
So essentially, patience is a key ingredient.
100%.
In this. It's not 100%. Like your quick...
It's
get
not,
rich
there's no get
quick.
rich. There's no get rich. And you have to stick it in, because the thing about life and the thing about investing, there's a lot of psychology about it. So there's greed and there's fear. So you must learn how to start mastering your psychology of, am I being too greedy when the price is, and I'm making a lot of money? And should I stop fearing when the prices are coming down? So that's something very important I learned, because I've also lost money. It's not always one way. But the thing about it is, what I learned is you always need to know, what did you learn from the mistake you made? If it was a bad investment, did I overthink the analysis? Did I not think enough? Did I think about what could go wrong? And so Kenya Airways was that. One other share that I really look back at is the company that used to do Sisal. I forget its name, but anyhow, Rea Vipingo. So Rea Vipingo, very interesting story. Nobody looked at the sort of land that Rea Vipingo owned as a biological asset. And one of the times I did my CFAs, and one of the things that they were talking about is revaluation of biological assets. And Rea Vipingo was so way undervalued. I think it was trading at, was maybe 11 shillings or something like that. And if you added back the biological assets, and this is all about research, I think the share was probably worth 26 shillings. So there's 100% at least upside outlook for the share. So that was also one of my most exciting trades. I liked it because it was something I discovered, and I didn't share it out. I just said, hey, I think this is a good share to buy. I have also benefited from Kenol Kobil. Every time I bought Kenol Kobil shares, I always said that that company is going to be taken over. Whatever happens, it's a fantastic candidate for takeover. So I have to say that I've been buying Kenol since. It's always been my core share. I have always liked its fundamentals. I've always liked how the management has worked. And yeah, so that's why I started on shares.
And now,
and that was one. Yeah, that was one aspect. And now I'm online forex. So I've been a trader. So I got into forex trading in 2003 when I was 22, 23. So you can do the maths of how old I am now. And from the background of shares, I got fascinated about the world of currencies, and I came to understand that shares is a fraction of the global world of currency. So I got into trading. I was a dealer in the bank. So primarily what would happen was we had customers who would be interested in buying forex. So you have an importer who needs to buy spares in Japan, for argument's sake. He has Kenya shillings. He needs to buy Japanese yen so that he can bring the spares. And then we used to have exporters, so we used to have coffee exporters. So one of my clients at the bank was a coffee exporter, so he'd export coffee in Europe and needed to sell the dollars that he's that. So we were involved in the buying and selling of currencies on behalf of clients. And it was so fascinating that, shares is a slow burn. What do I mean by a slow burn? You have to wait for the share to move.
Yeah.
But Forex profit is instant. Immediately I close and loss again.
Okay.
So that adrenaline rush of how can I make money now, because P&L is instant. So I got a baptism of fire, because the first time I got into the dealing desk was in 2002, just after His Excellency, the former President, Mwai Kibaki, ascended into power. It was a very big good feel factor in the economy. And the US dollar against the shilling was at, I think, about 78. And it appreciated from 78 to 61 in less than maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Wow.
So it was the biggest, and I think that was 2003. It was the biggest rush in my life, because we were making money hand over fist. And then we obviously attracted international attention from the international banks, the big banks, what we call the big global banks, the cities of this world. And they came in and was seeing how much money, because everybody was just selling. Every day you come in the morning and all you do is just
Would
sell.
you be able to give an idea, roughly?
Sort of money, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
like,
not
what are we
supposed to
talking?
say.
Oh, you're not supposed to?
But I would say it was well over 10 million a day. That was sort of the income we were making.
Yeah.
And it was easy.
Wow.
It was, you come and sell. At the end of the day, you buy it back at a lower price, and life was good. And
okay.
yeah.
That to me just sounds, it sounds like you've just won the lottery ticket,
exactly.
the golden ticket.
That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, chocolate factory, and now you're in this like other world. But so I'd like for you to try and break down what a layman, anyone who may not have the experience, the banking experience, didn't take e-commerce. What did you say you took in uni?
I did a big Bachelor of Commerce.
Yeah,
with
Bachelor
a finance,
of Commerce.
a finance
so
major.
If we hadn't
done,
if we don't take that route that Kevin has taken, what would the average man or woman need in order to get started, and where would you advise that they start?
All right, so a couple of things. Number one, everybody needs to understand that the financial markets are just like the mango market or wakulima market. There's demand and there's supply.
I hope you've got pen and paper, ladies and gents.
There's demand and supply at the very basic. So everybody notices that now we're in mango season. Okay, so we're in mango season right now. There's demand for mangoes because there's a lot of supply. So the price for mangoes will probably go down now, because this is the time when everybody's selling. Now, assuming, Sharon, you're able to store the mangoes in a freezer, just for argument's sake, till July, when there's absolutely no mangoes in the market, okay, it would mean that Sharon would be able to detect the price of the mango at that time and make a higher profit. So everything is about, financial markets, in my view, is about creating the right perception of asset value. It's the same mango that you had. It's just that there's a perception that I can sell this to you because you can't get it anywhere else. So for me, what I would advise anybody is to understand that wealth creation is about being able to determine and estimate that it should be worth more than what you present it as a perception, as more than what anything else. And that's how financial markets work. Financial markets start at the very basic of demand and supply. If there's a perception that an asset is going to go up, are you aligned to that perception? Or do you think you can wait it out and have a different perception? But that requires a skill set that needs you to learn about how demand and supply works at the very basic. Okay, and that's a bit of economics, so it's not all easy.
Okay.
Just a bit of economics. So what I would suggest is for people to take a bit of background and understand from a real life perspective.
Yeah.
If you consume a product, and I'd even go as simple as Uber. When Uber has a surge, it means that there's a demand for their services because either it's raining, okay, so that's how financial markets work.
Of the day.
Of the time of the day.
What are those key things that one should look at when they're trying to to select the company?
Yes.
To invest in.
To invest in.
Yeah.
So I think, okay, so let me qualify my statement. So in Kenya we have a unique problem is there are very few counters that trade frequently, because one of the most important things in a market is what you call liquidity. There must be a lot of transactions so that you can actually do what you call price discovery. You must need to know where are the many buyers and where are the many sellers willing to trade at. Now, unfortunately, you only have 4 or 5 counters that have enough liquidity, but that's something that I'm sure the Nairobi Securities Exchange is looking to increase liquidity. But what I would look at is what unique service does a company offer and how sustainable is that service. Now, I am very keen about critical factors, population. If you look at statistics, we're probably giving birth to about 1.3 million kids a year. You've got a 3% growth in population. So it means in 10 years, you have almost half, the population has grown by half of what it was 10 years ago. Those people need food, they need energy, they need housing. I always say, if you're not invested in companies that provide critical, that. Oh yeah, and the fourth one, so food, energy, housing, and communication. Those 4 are fundamental.
Okay.
I call them fundamental requirements. Okay? If a company is uniquely providing a service that captures those 4 aspects, it means that it has capacity for growth. It means that it has capacity for expansion. It means it has capacity to offer more services or products for that segment. So I would always say, look at investments that target growth in population, growth in food, growth in energy. You have to consume more because you're producing and you're giving birth to more people. So I'll give another example. You have, let's say, let me give an example. You have food. Every year, you've got probably 700 to 800,000 people who have to be self-sustainable. What do I mean? They leave their parents' home and either come to the city and try and fend. So they need somewhere to sleep, they need something to eat, they need something to drink, they need to talk to people, because if you need to
world
communicate.
We live in. Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, what extension of services or who is providing a product
to cater to
that?
That's
so
a really
that's a very
tip.
important. And this is not only attributable to the stock market.
Yeah.
It's attributable to value creation.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so
If
even
you
as a
found
side hustle,
yeah.
even as a side hustle, I'm so fascinated by how people provide bakery services. Yesterday I had a burger from somebody who does what I call cloud kitchen. They don't deliver on Sundays. You just call, make an order, and they deliver to you, because there is a need for people in the office to eat.
Yeah.
Because work is demanding that you you might not be able to leave your office and go out.
That's
you
actually a fantastic tip, so that even if you're not invested in or interested in this, that's a good place to start when you're thinking of
investing. Think about something that you can offer
within those four
aligns
sectors.
To that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay. He's whipped out the big dog, which is his laptop. This, I assume, is where
this is where the trading happens. Yes.
Is it ever on your phone, just out of curiosity?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So
even your phone.
It's everything on the go.
Okay.
Everything on your go. All you need is internet.
Okay.
And an account with Scope Markets, and your phone or laptop.
Okay. Now that you've said internet,
yeah,
I have to ask: do you have to make sure you have a secure internet provider, or would you, for instance, be online trading if you're using public internet?
Yes.
Is there any cybersecurity issues there?
So long as you're protected with your own password,
okay,
connecting to our servers are secure.
Okay.
All right. So what's very important for you is to keep your password, just like your M-Pesa account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're good. So all right. So now you're going to take us through.
Yeah.
The Forex platform that you've got, the trading platform.
The trading platform that we've got.
That's Scope Office.
That's Scope Office. Yes.
All right.
Okay. So let me start by introducing the platform. The platform is called an MT5 trading platform.
Okay.
What it does is it gives you all the prices of the shares, all the prices of the different asset classes that we have. And it's very simple. It may look daunting with all the nice things and stuff, but it's not as complicated as it may look.
Okay.
So how it works, if I can take you a step back, we are regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. So online Forex trading is something that is regulated. And we are the second licensed online broker. And we are able to offer clients this product because of those regulations. The regulations were provided in 2017. And we've seen over 50,000 Kenyans actively participate in that.
Okay.
So if Sharon wants to test her hand in that, what we do is we do an onboarding. The way you'd open a bank account, we get your proof of address and proof of ID, because we have to go through an onboarding process that requires you to provide us with your documentation. That we verify it's Sharon, and Sharon is not...
It's who she is, yeah.
Yes.
Who she says she is, yeah.
Of course, and where the source of her money is from, because of course we have to manage issues like money laundering and anti-terrorism and that. So your money needs to be clear and nice. Then once we onboard you, if you've never traded before, we have an end-to-end training educational process where we take the green as they come. You've never done Forex before. We take you through. In our offices in Westlands, we have a fully fledged training center that has 3 rooms that host up to 120 people. And we conduct training sessions every day from Tuesday through to Saturday. And what we've done is we've tailored the training sessions to where your experience is. So if you've never done trading before, you start with an introduction.
And how long would it take?
So we typically have each training session is about 2 hours.
Okay.
But you typically would encourage you to take trainings for about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Because we want you to learn.
And 1 session a week?
1 session, 2 sessions a week,
sessions
depending
a week
on your schedule.
Okay.
So there's training every day.
Yeah.
And we have slots for beginners. We have slots for what we call intermediate, and we have slots for experienced people.
Okay.
So we have a website called www.scopehub.co.ke. That's a self-service website. So you come and you say, okay, I'm only available on Saturdays, or I'm available next Saturday. We have a training program for the next 2 to 3 months. Okay, that allows you to plan your day and plan your training sessions.
Okay.
At those sessions, you would learn what are Forex markets, how do the markets work, what is fundamental analysis, what do you look for in a share, what do you look for in an asset class like gold, how do the markets work, what are the things that determine demand and supply, as I talked to you about. So we walk you through all that.
So at which point do you then get to open an account?
If you're switched on like Sharon, maybe it would take you maybe a week, 2 weeks to get comfortable. But it's not something that we rush you to. We want you to understand the product, understand the attendant risks that come with any other investment. We want you to be comfortable. So I would encourage maybe 2 weeks, but this requires you to be committed.
Yeah.
And we provide you videos, provide you a lot of material. We conduct webinars where we have mentorship sessions where you can sign up and you'll be mentored by experienced traders who have been in this. Like last week, we had a mentorship series where we had a lady trader who's been trading for 38 years. So she's an American. We had a webinar where she dialed in all the way from the US and talked to people about her experience so that people understand what does it take to do all this. So that's the education part. So once you're comfortable, we have different types of accounts that you can open with us. If you're very interested only in trading shares, we have something called an all-share account. If you're interested in trying different types of asset classes, say for example you want to trade gold or you want to trade oil, which is currently one of my favorite asset classes, we offer you what you call a gold account. So the gold account allows you to have exposure in multiple asset classes. The all-share account only shows you shares. Now, what I've opened on my screen is the all-share account, which gives you access to all European shares. So, Sharon, do you like BMWs?
Yes.
You do?
Kevin.
Okay, so you can buy BMW shares now.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example. So that's on the screen right now. We have BMW running.
Okay.
The share is opened. It's trading at 71 euros, 71 euros and 42 cents. But what we've done is we offer the share in dollars.
Okay.
So even if you deposit the money in Kenya shilling, you're able to trade in foreign currency. So you don't have to go into the bank and convert, which is okay, but you can also deposit real time.
Yeah.
So Sharon can, and I'll show you that.
And that's 71 euros for one share.
For one share.
Out of curiosity, what's the most expensive share you've ever come across?
I can tell you right now. Let me show you. Let me just look on the share.
71 euros for one.
The most expensive share I've come across is Berkshire Hathaway.
Okay.
That's Warren Buffett's company.
Okay. Okay.
So that trades at $100,000 a share. Yeah. So it's traded at 100.
Worth $100,000 a share?
It's way worth.
That's 10 million shillings for one.
For one share. So he has two classes. He has Class A and Class B. Class A shares, which is where you can vote and determine the direction of the company's board members. That's worth 100,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's,
and doesn't bat an eyelid.
And
He's
it
like, take it or leave it.
Yeah, that's why I trade.
$100,000. You can join us. Otherwise,
correct.
Take a
because
seat.
he's developed. I mean, he's invested in companies that have created value
so you know,
for a very long time. So you know you're buying the right. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
You talked about BMW. So
yeah.
even with this account, you can start trading internationally. You're not just you're not stuck to whatever is in the region.
We actually only offer international shares.
Yeah. So no local.
We're still in engagement with a local Nairobi Securities Exchange to allow them to allow us to put their shares here.
Yeah.
We're actually we are discussion stages to see how we can partner with them on that, because we want to give Kenyans an opportunity to look at open global execution capability. That's what we stand for. Yeah. So our platform allows you to buy. So allow me to see if I can buy one share.
Which
BMW.
One? BMW. Oh, okay. I thought you were getting me a Warren Buffett.
Yeah. So I'll buy BMW because U.S. markets haven't opened. So we'll use European shares for now.
All right. Okay.
So I've bought one share on that. So on my current exposure, I've already bought GlaxoSmithKline. So I bought one share of GlaxoSmithKline at $17. So far, I've made $1 in profit. So I've made about 100 bob, Kenya shillings, and I've not spent anything. It cost me, so at $17 a share, that's 1,700 shillings, and I've already made 100 bob.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad return.
Right.
I'm up 10%.
And it's a good place to start. It's a good place to start. So would you? I mean, I think from everything I've heard today, a key part of learning and understanding this industry and this business is in doing your research.
Correct.
But would you also say that it's important to kind of spread your eggs
I
and
would
put
highly
them in
recommend.
So even if your research says everything should go to BMW, this is where the money is.
I wouldn't recommend. Yes, you spread out, and not only in shares. I always say, learn to develop a portfolio. Today you can say, okay, I think the property market is looking good.
So go into that.
If you're looking at bank shares and the interest rate cap has been removed now, and you think bank shares will appreciate, buy. So I always encourage you to look at where the economy is going, where do you think growth sectors are, and try and get a bit of exposure into that. Yeah.
So Kevin, I know that you've worked with and seen a lot of people come through your training program.
Yes.
Is there someone or a story that you found particularly exciting?
Yes.
That you could share with us?
I'm happy to share.
Okay.
So we had a client come all the way from a place called Elwak, Mandera.
Okay.
Elwak, Mandera. I Googled Elwak. It's 1,400 kilometers from Nairobi.
Okay.
And this person went through 2 buses, came to our offices, and now we're giving him a special mentorship program. So we've put 2 or 3 experienced traders to teach him, to show him that you don't need to be in Nairobi to experience global investing opportunities. We've put him on a very close management. We are showing him, because we want to show this story and say, guys, you're in Nairobi, somebody from Mandera is actually trading these shares. So it's something that we are really excited about. We want to take this countrywide, and I think it's all about people understanding the opportunity. There's opportunity in you doing online trading, in you doing side hustles, not always relying on one source of income. We want to encourage you people to look at what's out there globally, because now I can buy BMW shares. I deposit my money into my trading account via M-Pesa. I trade BMW shares. In the evening, if I make 200, 300 shillings, I can sell those BMW shares, withdraw the 200, and be able to have something to eat in the evening, or go out for drinks with my friends and that sort of thing. So that's the opportunity we want to show Kenyans today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know we don't have much time,
Yes.
but I have to ask about this. If someone is listening, is keen to start making extra money, but does not want to maybe invest their time,
Yes.
and so therefore needs to look at brokers,
Yes.
what are some really quick 2-3 tips that you think would help prevent people from falling
Getting
into the trap
defrauded.
of,
Okay, so
of fraud?
See, the thing about online forex trading is there's a lot of scammers out there who tell you, Sharon, give me your money, I'll trade on your behalf and I'll make you money. There are regulations, and that's what you call money management. And you need to work, if you don't have the time, you need to work with a regulated money manager. And even that money manager, you should be able to deposit money into your own trading account and let them trade on your behalf. The aspect of trading and handling money should always remain with you.
So that you're not giving them like, here is my 10,000 shillings,
no,
you go
deposit,
figure it out.
Yes.
And that way you can trace and see.
And see how the performance is. If you're unhappy with the performance, you can draw your money at any point in time. And that's what the regulations have. Because if, Sharon, you give me your money and I tell you I'll trade on your behalf, and then I disappear off the face of the earth, you don't have recourse, and it happens all the time.
And especially when you're desperate to make some extra money.
Some extra cash. Yes. So we always encourage people, please research, ask questions, ask very direct questions, and saying, okay, which broker are you going to trade with? Why are you not seeking a license and that sort of thing? Ask very deliberate questions. And if worst case happens, just go to the regulator and ask, is this person a regulated money manager? And the Capital Markets Authority will be able to respond to you.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much for spending a solid hour with us in the morning and just sharing, your personal stories and money.
I'm happy to share the
cylinders that you bought, that you sold, that were your father's. I hope you paid back your father for that cylinder.
I paid him 10 times over.
Okay, good. And also just giving us tips on how to explore another way of making money. I think
happy to share.
Yeah, for the longest time, Kenyans, we've always, we've been fascinated by side hustles and how to make extra money. And I think this year you can, I would say, just try and commit to understanding this
and learn the
space
craft
a little bit
and
more.
taking time, do research. That's a first step.
Exactly. You don't even need to spend, hundreds of thousands of shillings.
And our training is free, so it's just about your time for us.
Oh, look at that. Start small.
Start
and here's
small.
a great place to start.
Yes.
Scope markets.
Yes.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Sharon. I really appreciate it.
I'm now going to ask one more question.
Yeah.
Are you a spender or a saver? Out of curiosity.
I'm a spender.
You're a spender.
I'm a
so you know he's got to
spender.
make the money in order to spend. So that's who you go to for all your tips. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Much appreciated.
Oh, and thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, because now it's 9 a.m. I hope you turned down, changed your clocks, your reminders. We're now coming at you 9 a.m. every morning, 9 to 10, which we're really excited about. And we look forward to seeing you same time, 9 a.m. tomorrow, same place, NTV. Bye, everybody.